Hi, this is Jason from Horrific Nightmares, back to do another review. This is going to be a little bit different of a review than I normally do on my channel. Mostly I focus on horror. I have done a documentary or two, done some rankings on some mainstream films like Star Wars and Mission Impossible, stuff like that. But like I said, this is a little bit different. Last week I received a package from one of my very best friends on YouTube, Joe. You guys know him as TheHORRORman, and he sent me a bunch of goodies. One of the films he sent me is one that I've been wanting to see for a very long time. It's a movie called Kenny and Company. Now this may not have a ton to do with horror, but it still has a very strong Halloween theme. So I kind of thought it applied pretty much, and to be honest with you, I wanted to do this review because this movie had a pretty profound effect on me. But I'll get to that in a little bit. Kenny and Company is a 1976, I would call it a family movie. Things were very different back then. I mean, I was born in 71, and you could get away with a lot in movies back in the 70s. With that being said, this movie runs 90 minutes and is directed by one of my favorite directors of all time, Don Coscarelli, who of course is famous for The Beastmaster, Phantasm, Phantasm 2, 3, and 4, and another movie that I believe was originally on television, I can't remember, but it was also introduced to me by my friend Joe, called Kenny and Company. I really like Jim the World's Greatest. Very good movie. But this movie had a little something extra. Something that some of his movies have, but not in an abundance as this. Being a child of the 70s, the clothes that we wore, the hair, the stuff we used to do, which I'm sure a lot of kids in different eras used to do a lot of that stuff. Ride our bikes, get into trouble, stuff like that. This movie was able to actually kind of transport me back to when I was a kid, and very much reminded me of a lot of the stuff that I used to do when I was a kid. And it really deals with a lot of emotions that kids have, and a lot of things that they have to deal with, like girls, your first love, your first kiss, first time you held hands with someone. It has to do with death, losing a family member or losing a pet. The camaraderie of your best friends when you're a child is invaluable. And that's one of the main things that this has to offer. This is a really special movie, and I wish it would get a proper treatment with a Blu-ray, but in a way I don't. I'll explain that. I think that they would maybe try to fix the film, wash it, color correct it, or whatever, and I don't think it needs it. It has that 70s feel, that 70s look. The best way I can describe it is like kind of like a hazy, almost dreamlike quality that, of course, is in some of my very favorite films, like The Little Girl Who Lives Down the Lane, movies such as that, and of course Kenny and Company as well. Now, Kenny and Company is a very easy plot. It's about mainly two kids. Kenny, who's played by Dan McCann, and his best friend Doug, who is played by A. Michael Baldwin. Of course, A. Michael Baldwin was in Phantasm and Phantasm 3 and 4, and I don't remember if he had a bit part in Part 5, because I really didn't care for it that much, and I don't remember, to be honest. But they basically do the things that kids do. The movie takes place 5 days leading up till Halloween, and I believe a day or two after. And the best way I can describe the film is it's like you're watching an episode of The Peanuts. Or actually another movie which I really enjoyed, Ted. If you ever watch The Peanuts or Ted, you kind of notice that it's almost like little skits that have been strung together to form a longer film. Um, Sometimes it has tie-ins to other things that have happened in the film, but mostly it's a little hard for me to explain. When you watch The Peanuts, you get the idea that what they did was string a bunch of comic strips together. Actually, I know that they did that because I used to read Peanuts a lot, and a lot of them were actually in the newspaper. But they would try to incorporate all of them together, and try to tie them together with some kind of generalized plot. And that's kind of what Kenny and Company is. It's a bunch of different things that happen in the film that are tied together by just a normal child living his life in the 70s. And I think that's why it had such a profound effect on me. It had a story, and it had reoccurring characters, but it was basically a child living his life, hanging around with his best friend, dealing with loss and love and stuff like that. In a way, it's kind of hard for me to convey exactly what it is this movie is, but to me, it's important, and I really enjoyed it. So, thank you, Joe, for making this for me. Like I said, this movie had a very profound effect on me, and I am so glad I watched it. Now, it also has a very brief, well, he had a bit of a role, but Reggie Bannister, of course, is in it as well, who was Reggie in Phantasm. Reggie Bannister plays Kenny and Doug's teacher, who's kind of not a strict teacher, kind of one of the teachers that you look back on and you think, this guy was pretty cool. He was more of a friend and a mentor than an actual teacher, but yeah, it has that familiar character in it. Guys, this movie is really fun. Like I said, I almost wish it would get a kind of a more widespread treatment, so more people can see this film. But in the same respect, I don't want the overall feel of it tampered with, if that makes any sense. But yeah, very impressive film. I really loved it. And I just wanted to thank Joe once again for making this for me. It's a fantastic film. And if it's on YouTube or Hulu or Amazon Prime, I really urge you guys to check it out. It is, to me, it's okay for kids to see. It does have, some curse words here and there. There is a very brief scene of nudity, but it was, I don't know, it's just kind of goes along with that time period. If you guys see it, you'll know what I mean. But it's basically just kids being kids, and for an hour and a half, you get to watch basically what a lot of people my age did when they were younger, and I'm sure what you guys did when you were younger too. Just a very special film. Very special film. In order to give this a rating, I would probably give it a 9.5. I really did enjoy it, and I have a feeling it's going to get better with time with me. But I don't know. I just wanted to talk about this film a little bit and maybe try to introduce some people to it. Hopefully you'll like it as much as I did. But yeah, if you like what you see in here, hit that like button and subscribe. And until next time, peace.